have currently a quorum. We want to give, who's missing right now? I know Pete. Give Pete a second. He gave me a buzz a little while ago asking for the mobile number there. We'll give him a minute and then we'll start. And Donald, do you see that you have a,
I don't. I'll try to open the meeting, and I need 4 to have a quorum. So I'm here. Michael, you're here. Kathy, you're here. Pam,
Yep.
you're here. Is anybody else from the open space here? That's 4. So
Yep.
we're opened with a
so
quorum.
you have a quorum? And we do as well.
Oh,
That's
George is
George.
here. George is here, so that adds even more.
Okay, now, one thing that they do want us to do once we start the meeting is just like the last one, go around and introduce yourself, what committee you're on and what your name is, even though, like, obviously mine, Chris or Dave usually change it because my wife uses this. But they want us to verbally, state who we are, just for those that might be on a mobile, phone or whatnot that do not have video. But I think now if we can get a motion to open the meeting.
Motion to open the meeting.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor, we'll open the meeting.
Aye.
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 All right, and if we want to start,
Eric, let me take a motion to open the open space meeting.
yeah, because you need open space as well. Yep.
So I'll take a motion.
Motion to open.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. George, you in favor? Kathy, you're in favor? Lorraine, you're in favor? And I'm in favor. Michael is in favor. We're open.
Okay, so at this point, why don't we do a roll call for CPA and then for open space as well. Derek Yule, 649 Liberty Street, Chairman, CPA.
Joe Reese, 116 Huggins Road. CPA.
John Hennessy, Vice Chair, CPA, 5 White Road.
Peter Ewell, 298 Webster Street, CPA.
Tom Reagan, 571 Liberty Street, Historical Commission, and I guess accountant for the CPA.
I guess I'll go. Charlie Williams, 5 Topping Ave, member of the CPA.
Steve O'Donnell, 71 Winding Way, member of CPA.
All right, that concludes the CPA.
I'll do the same for open space. Donald Can, 64 Union Street, Chairman of the Open Space Committee.
Pam Titus, 864 Union Street, open space. Kathy, we can't hear you.
Kathy's muted.
Kathy, you're muted.
Kathy Kirby, 162 Liberty Street, Open Space Committee.
Good.
Yeah. Okay.
Michael. George.
I'll go. George is muted. Mike Bromberg, 373 Forest Street, Open Space Committee.
George, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, you signed in too. And we have Lorraine Pratt. She's from the Conservation Commission.
All right. Very good. So on where we have 2 agendas here, our regular meeting, and I do know we can popped through this pretty good. We have a couple people that had messaged me that they have other commitments this evening as well. Our agenda for May 5th, 2021. First item, obviously, the Open Space Committee discussion of land purchase and such. So we've gotten some information on different appraisal houses or companies for appraisals.
Yes,
Seen some back and forth with a couple of the emails through the town for how many, should we get to, should we not, this, that, and the other thing. Donald, if you want to fill everybody in on where we currently sit, and if anybody is wondering, this is the McCarthy Farm property that we discussed at our last meeting on the base of Beach Hill, on the southern side of Beach Hill, I guess.
just 61A property, so that gives the town first refusal. And so we're working to have the town give first refusal and to get a land grant of $400,000. So part of it was to get appraisals. If it's $750,000, we are required to get one, and there's a suggestion to get two appraisers. So I sent letters to 6 different companies for appraisals. 3 gave us a proposition to do it. 2 said no, and 1, I can't find any evidence that the 6th one sent us anything. So, and the companies that gave the appraisals was Real Worth Appraisers and Consulting. Their appraisal was $3,250. Eric Renestein Associates, and his appraisal was $4,500. And the third one was the Foster Company. Their appraisal was $2,900. And those are the 3 appraisals we have. We're required to have 1, but it seems that there's a strong suggestion to have 2 if it's over $750,000. Now, I sent copies of the letters, the appraisal letters, to the CPA, and if the CPA wants to have any discussion, you can start that, and we'll follow.
All right. Our biggest concern, I think, would be, well, my personal concern about this. We can obviously pay for this out of our administrative budget, as we've done in the past for appraisals and surveying. Really, it's, I think, would be based on the bang for the buck type of thing, the reality of actually investing, the better part of, $5,000 or $6,000. What are the odds that this is actually going to happen? We can't.
I think the odds are very good. I think I've been encouraged by reports from Doug Lapp. Doug Lapp's told me he's working on putting a budget together consistent with us getting the grant. And if we don't get the grant, it will fall apart, and we won't have it. So I think there's a good chance. Wyland's Trust, Scott Wyland's Trust said because we haven't applied for these things for a long time. The last one was the golf course, and that must have been 15 years ago or so. He thought we had a good chance. He thought the land itself has a good chance. It connects to the Whitman open space in Rockland, and therefore Whitman. And I spoke to, for endorsement letters, I spoke to the North-South Watershed. They're willing to give us a letter of endorsement, and I spoke to the Open Space Conservation in Hanson. They're willing to give us a letter. I also spoke to Whitman, and it was like news to them. the man I spoke to was on the Conservation Commission. They run the open space in Whitman, and he's going to bring it up to his Conservation Commission. They'll then if we go and we need to, letters of endorsement, I'll ask Whitman for a letter of endorsement as well.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, seeing and being as, the fly on the wall for a few of these email chains. It sounds to me like it's pretty promising. I have to be devil's advocate, and really put it out there to let the other members of the board know, we're taking a shot. It might be something that the funding isn't secured. It's something that certainly we don't have enough money to fund on our own through CPA. But if the town is willing to come up with half of it, some of it through a grant money as well, another half of it there. I think that, from my standpoint, us kicking in, $6,000, give or take a few to do some appraisals or whatnot, is a doable thing, based on the opinions of the board. Once they put it to a vote, I think it's perfect use of it. And not having to decimate the CPA's, coming funds isn't a bad thing, where there's only one project slated for this year. From
Incidentally,
town meeting.
I asked Doug if we could set up a fund that people could contribute, make free will contributions to it, and he said he would talk to the treasurer about it. So
Excellent.
we may even get a donation. Open Space Committee has $140 in our donation fund, and I'm going to recommend that we put $100 of that into the donation fund.
All right. That's good stuff. Every little bit helps, I guess.
If I may, excuse me, Derek, on the grant, the state grant that we're looking at, it would be for the next fiscal year. So it would not come through until, assuming we get it, which I think we will, but it would not come through till January of 2022. Okay, so that's when the acquisition would happen, or when the money would move.
Prior to that, though, if this, where we have a deadline for the refusal. Now, is this something that would almost be like a contingent sale? Or can the buyer just step out and say, you're taking too long, I need to sell this now? Or
I don't have the answer for that. That's a lawyer, at least Doug answer, and I think he would have to consult with the lawyer on that.
I'd just like to say this, it's not clear at this point that the town has actually received valid notice of the intent to sell and convert. There were some things missing from the original notice, so I'm not sure that even the 30-day clock has begun to run yet. The requirement, excuse me, to respond, even though a response was given. So I don't see that, and nothing can happen until 90 days after the state of emergency expires. And we don't know when that's going to be. So, what is this, May, June, July, August, September?
But we have to get the grant in by July 14th.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm just saying in terms of the clock running on the town's either 120 days or 90 days. It hasn't started yet.
right, that would be another thing to put into perspective, is the fact that, this could be another couple months from actually needing to start that clock, which actually helps us out a little bit, especially if it's fiscal.
Right, was my
next fiscal
point.
year.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds good. That's, I'm 100% behind it myself. You know, I think it's a fantastic idea. I'm glad that it was picked up on, that this had already been prearranged. You know, and the appropriate actions have been put in motion to try to step in and protect this patch of land. You know, we see what's going on with the other proposed development here in town, and you just think of what this would do if this was out there as well in the limelight, as far as number of units and square footage and number of occupants, quite frankly, coming into town.
I think there's many good points to take this land. I mean, it's a strong argument to make this open space.
Mhm.
So
If you-
from,
If you enter into a purchase and sales agreement, you can put in all these guidelines of the purchase, of when and where and how this goes down, correct?
Well, if we take the money, there's certain requirements we have to do from the grant. And that one of the biggest is that we have to make it permanent open space.
yeah, you gotta get a CR put onto it right away. That
Yeah,
would be one of the things. It's the same thing with CPA. Any of the land that we buy in the name of open space has to get a conservation restriction put on it.
and then we have to
something
show
like that.
certain improvements for open space so the people can use it. In other words, we can't just lock it up as wildlife sanctuary. This requires that we have a place that people could park, trail improvements and things of that sort.
Excellent, excellent. Oh, it sounds good. Is there anybody from CPA that has any questions or any discussion points that they want to pop up? I mean, I think personally, obviously, like any town or any municipality, you know, you got 3 quotes. The 2 lowest are the one that go. You know, the high one gets scrapped, as with most things. And as I sit here, so you're looking at 6150 is what we'll be looking at from our administrative budget. to
That's
cover
for survey and appraisal, just appraisal?
That's just a land appraisal.
It's an appraisal. We have to do, a survey comes later. And by the way, some of these, and I don't remember if this grant's reimbursed, but some of the costs, if we get the grant, the costs of some expenses are reimbursed. And I'm sorry,
The assessment is not reimbursed, but the survey will be.
Oh, okay.
Eric, may I?
Absolutely.
I think this is a great opportunity for the town, open space. I think there's going to be many more coming down the road of acquisitions of land as people get older and they don't know what to do with their land to keep their kids from developing them. So I got a feeling we're going to have a lot more down the road, and I think this is a great opportunity to get our feet wet on how to do this. So once everybody speaks, I'd like to make a motion after everyone has their comments.
All right. Anybody else?
Derek.
Peter?
This is Peter. Yeah, no screen guy. I concur with Joe 110% and you. This is a no-brainer. And any land we can grab right now, to keep the land, period. I mean, we're playing defense now as it is. Animals have nowhere to go. You know, it's a no-brainer to me.
Excellent. Fantastic. Anybody else have anything? Any
Yeah, I
questions?
just have a question. So, I mean, I think it's great for us to always, help with the appraisals on these type of properties and try to get them. My only question is, because I just don't know the timeline here, if we spend the money to do an appraisal, I know it's a grant process. So is the appraisal still good for a certain amount of time while this grant process goes on before we can actually purchase the land? So I just want to make sure that our timing works well with us spending the money.
we asked for the appraisals to be that actually we're a week behind because of the cancellation. We asked for the appraisals to be done by June 30th because we have to submit all this by July 14th. Oh, Pam, correct me if I make any
No,
mistakes.
you're absolutely right.
Pam and Lorraine incidentally took the training course for the grant.
Excellent. Now, with this being said, if this purchase and sales agreement is reached and so forth, that we saying we do get the grant and Doug is able to come up with a budget for the remaining balance of the purchase price. Like John had just mentioned, you know, the housing market and the land market collapses in the fall.
Mhm.
You know, are we on the hook for $900,000 property that's worth 400?
I can't answer that, and don't ask me any crystal ball stuff because mine broke.
Well, I thought we discussed
We
that
still have the
too.
land
That
though, too, so
900,
that's good.
Yeah,
that 900 includes a residence, doesn't it?
That's correct.
970, I think it's $79. And we're not interested in the residents.
We can't be.
We won't get that in the
Yeah,
grant
right.
money. And some people said that whatever you do, never take a house.
Mhm.
Right. Let's be realistic. At market prices and assuming based on that, the property they looked at, it's about an acre on the property with the house. Let's call it 300,000. We know it's way more than that. That brings us down to 6, which is a
Right.
bit more manageable for a 36-acre parcel.
Correct.
What really concerns me is the timing. You know, we're still not sure if we did receive proper notice. I think that we need to determine that. And I don't want to hold up the appraisal on it because I think this is, a no-brainer. But just to kind of instill some urgency, 128 days is going to go by fast. And based on my reading, we need to have a purchase offer submitted within those 120 days. And that purchase offer needs to be certified by town meeting before it can be submitted.
Well, I know that they were discussing the possibility of, again, another special town meeting coming up like normally, end of the summer. You know,
Yeah.
generally, I think it's around September. And
Yeah, they're talking one in June.
so if they're talking about one in June, it's even expedited. So we can
I
do
think that-
something.
But you know, Doug, who's not here, he can answer some of those questions. You know, they're out of the selectman's office. But I believe it's going to be early summer town meeting, special town meeting. It'll be nice to get it in there. But in the meantime, what the selectmen can do is they can motion subject to town meeting and stuff. You never know what's going to happen. It's obvious at town meetings. But I think this will fly at town meeting. I mean,
I think it'll get enough.
especially after the last town.
Yeah. I do.
Yep.
I agree.
The grant
what-
also is contingent on town meeting approval eventually,
Yeah,
like
that
in
would
the
be,
fall, in the late summer, early fall.
that wouldn't be a problem. I think that, I think it's got the support of what we have here on the committee, judging by comments and whatnot. What we can do, without me really structuring it for somebody else, but we could vote tonight, make a motion to, accept the payment of the fees up to, $6,500 or whatever. That'll give them a couple $100 up and above, whatever it may be, a specific number amount, whatever anybody's comfortable with, to pay and retain 2 people or 2 companies to do appraisals on the 61A property. And we can vote that through. So the money's approved by us and sitting there. If something falls apart, it doesn't happen. They can't get, it comes up that clock started ticking a month ago or 2 months ago when the original PNS was signed and we're out of time. That just, it's a non-issue. It gets dumped back into the administrative budget as unspent funds and no harm, no foul. But I would like to maybe have something done tonight to earmark that money and get it put out there if it's a possibility. And totally up to the rest of the committee to vote on that and so forth. But I think there's enough support behind that to warrant, and it's not a huge amount of money. So
Derek, what I would like to do, and I kind of agree, I picked out two that I thought, and it's very similar to what you said. I would like to get these guys started. If they don't start,
Right.
it's just going to screw up the time thing. And if we don't get these things back by the 30th, we have a July 14th deadline, and if we don't have it, we don't qualify. So what I thought is that I sent you all the information that we pick two. Doug Lapp is he's the man who they have to work for him. He's the title, which I can't think of this second.
Permanent.
In any way. And so, and I read all of the things. I had two candidates, and it's just about what you said. One is, I can tell you if you'd like, and we can discuss them. It's the Reedworth, and they came in at 3,250. And he's the one who sent the resume of all of the things that he had done locally. And he's also the only one that called me and asked me for more information, which I sent him. And he's second from the top. And then I thought that the last two were pretty close together. So I went with the least Kraft, who was the least expensive. And his was 2,900, and it comes to the figure that nearly you said, $6,150. But I would appreciate if there's any discussion otherwise on the consultants, if anybody has something more or less to say about it.
I have another question. How much is going to cost to have it surveyed? Because we might want to make a motion for both to keep this roll.
I don't know. I would do the same thing, and I would get a list of surveyors. Incidentally, this list came from Wylands Trust, and at the top of the list it said that they have no interest in any of these people. It's just a list of people they know that do this. I learned later after I used this list that the town assessor had a list, but I came too late to. I don't know. To answer that question, I think we'd have to get a list of people and get bids just like this. I'm not in the real estate business, so I can't help.
Derek,
And Joe,
Yes.
would it be safe to do what we did with the Hearts of Park? Have the survey and the appraisal money allocated for both, so this can keep moving if it's going to keep moving, and use what we've spent roughly on Hartsov to go by what the expense would be.
You'd have to multiply that by about 6, because you're talking about a much larger property, especially for a survey. It's going to require a lot more legwork by the firm that does it to get this property of 30 acres or whatnot surveyed, marked, flagged out. So I don't even begin to know what that survey cost would be. I don't know if we want to kind of blindly jump into something like that.
Yeah, I don't think we should do that.
Yeah, I think that we can definitely, as long as we have 48 hours, we can schedule a meeting to vote on it.
Okay.
So that's all we need legally to post our agenda 48 hours prior to the meeting, and we can get something set. So if we get a frantic phone call that we need a survey done or this, or we need to approve it, it wouldn't be that hard to get it posted, get a meeting together, hopefully get a quorum, and vote to approve that. It's another thing that we don't need anything else to do. It's administrative funds. So I think that if we stick tonight to getting this cleared up, let these guys get some boots on the ground over there for an appraisal. we're at least heading in the right direction. This steps that we're gonna have to take, this information we're gonna have to get on this going forward in the next few stages, obviously being an open space project, I'm sure there'll be other things that come up with it that may need our attention. So I don't think it'll be too long before we're discussing it again. We'll throw everything in there and, see what we can do if, so we're looking at 6150. My suggestion is to throw in, a bit more than that.
I was thinking 65. You're talking
Yeah,
higher?
I'd think, maybe the 65, 67, 50 type of thing. And just to give it a couple $100 in either direction. I mean, that's obviously their quoted price, but you never know. If this doesn't happen for the next couple of weeks, it might be a 15-day expiration of quote. That's what I deal with as common in my profession is a 15 to 30-day quote. So obviously they need this done sooner than later.
Yep.
So I don't think it would take over that, but
Would you like me to make a motion of $7,000?
yeah,
Too high.
up to, I'd do something like that, up to 7,000, not to exceed 7,000, some kind of a moniker that would cap it at 7,000 right away.
Is the
Not to
discussion,
exceed.
is the discussion over with everybody?
Yeah, I just have some questions. The question I have is, the money takes care of the two I suggested. I haven't heard anybody else make a comment on the submittals. So if somebody has a different idea, I think they should say it about the two consultants we get. And secondly, if we have to tell Doug which are we going with? Are we going with the two that I recommend, or do we want to have any further discussion? If not, go ahead.
I mean, my opinion would be the same stance that I had earlier, Worth, Kraft, the two negating the highest of the bids. I don't know how many of my board have dealt with Wildlands Trust. I've dealt with them personally on a number of occasions. Scott actually is, I know pretty well, and they, if that's a list that you're getting from them,
Mark,
very trusted.
Conran is, yeah. I trust Scott. Scott used to be on the Open Space Committee, by the way.
Yep, yeah, I served on that committee with him.
That's right. And then the
He's
last
also
one,
an avid hiker.
and the second would be Ken Croft.
Yep.
Okay.
So if anybody seems fit to make a motion, we'll hear them now.
Make a motion to accept $7,000, not to exceed that amount for open space to do an appraisal on, what's the number for the land?
The 61A property.
There you go.
You have an address or a lot number, actually.
I do, but
I have one. It's map 82, lot 16, I believe.
Yes, okay, yep, that's on my other notes as well.
Just
so-
confirmed it, yeah. That's right.
Excellent. So we have a motion to approve $7,000 from administrative funds for the two appraisals of lot 82 or map 82, lot number 16 for open space. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, Charles. Second. All in favor by roll call vote, please state your name and yes or no. Joe Reese.
Yes.
All right, Stephen O'Donnell
Yes.
Jr., sorry. Peter Yule,
Yes.
John Hennessy,
Yes.
Tom Regan,
Yes.
Charles Williams, the third.
Yes.
All right, and me, yes, Derek Yule, it is unanimous. So
Thank you.
we can forward this now to, I can send Doug a letter approving, that amount. They'll go through the, accountant's office and the treasurer to get payment made, once they're invoiced, but
Okay.
we'll, get the ball rolling.
All right, I just want to ask the Open Space Committee, does anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to,
To send the consultants to Doug? Would we want to do that? If we don't, I'll do it anyway.
so moved.
Okay.
Second,
I'll second it.
All right, I'm going to start with Michael in favor,
Yes.
Kathy,
yes.
Pam,
Yes,
George,
Yep.
Donald, yes. Okay, that's unanimous. Any further business with us? Mr. Chairman?
I don't
Yeah.
believe so.
I just have a quick question. Derek, can we
Yes.
consult with you in reference to the CR requirement of the grant, once we get to that point?
Yeah, we're
Great.
open for anything. It's
All
not a
right.
problem.
Thank you.
Okay, we're setting up a workshop meeting and we'll sort of divvy out things and we'll give you a progress report as they come.
Sounds good.
Thank
We'll
you
look
very
forward to it.
much. I'm going to seek a motion of open space to adjourn.
Move to adjourn open space committee meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, Kathy, yes?
Yes.
Pam,
yep.
George?
Yep.
Michael?
Yes, and thank you, CPA committee.
Yes, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for your help.
Thank you
We
very
really
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thanks.
guys.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yep.
All right.
Have a good evening.
Going to leave this meeting.
All right, so the CPA committee. Next item on the agenda, we'll just bang these last two out in a couple of seconds. Town meeting discussion. So obviously I couldn't make it. I was able to watch it the next morning. Way to go, Joe. I had a panic moment there too, because it seemed like it took a little while to get anybody down there. I'm like, oh no, I hope somebody's there. And I was like, just completely panic stricken. But
Yeah, we're Connor and took him a while to see us. I think with the lights, he has trouble seeing up in the back, but
yeah.
people yelled out, he's up here.
No, nice job. No opposition to anything on those, which is
No,
always fantastic, you know. It's been that way pretty much since the beginning, with the exception of the first issue we had.
one gentleman was kind of confused on the 55 for,
Open space.
no, yeah, for the share. of
Yeah,
10%.
he said it was too little.
Too little, so,
Yeah.
you know, Doug explained that to him.
Yep, yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's something that some people probably just don't understand, that you put in the 10% that's mandated, nothing more, just for the simple fact of being able to use it for whatever you need to do. Once it's in open space, it's in open space. Once it's in historic, it's in historic. Keeping the budgeted reserve allows us to do a little more of anything.
I haven't
So,
heard anything else on the title search. You know, it's not looking good, but hopefully they.
Money's there.
find a way, You know,
The money's there if the title comes through. Whether it's right away, it's a couple months from now, whether or not, the fact that it was approved, voted through, the money will be there. It's set aside, it's reserved, it's not left in the account. It's already earmarked for that. we'll see what happens. Just keep your fingers crossed and hopefully we get that, because if we don't own it, we can't do anything with it. That's CPA guidelines. If we sign another 100-year lease, none of the CPA money can actually go into renovating any of that area.
There's two other options that we might be able to do, but I don't want to disclose that at this time.
I kind of have an idea of one of them. So with that being said, is there anything else for town meeting? Anything that anybody noticed, wants to bring up? Any questions they had? All right, so on to item agenda number 3. Just general open discussion. Anything that's up front? I know it's pretty sweet, Charlie, if you want to fill everybody in on some of the developments there.
I will happily do that. So the King Philip bid has been successfully awarded. I spoke with the parties that are going to do the restoration. They are coming down this way sometime this month to get a look at it. After they get a look at it, we'll confirm when it's going there. The fire chief has agreed to move it with a professional auto transport company to move it from its current location to Maine. And then once it's there, I plan on making regular trips up there to keep tabs on the status of it. And then the next big hurdle, and it's not really a CPA hurdle, but it's going to be a hurdle for the town and the department, is to find where we're going to keep it. We have some time for that, but we need to figure out where it's going to end up going. It needs to be, it's going to be amazing when it's done, and it needs to be displayed somewhere. And like Derek and I have talked about, and I think we all have talked about, I would love to see it, paraded down the street when it's done with horses, or however, with horses would be amazing. But we'll have to see how that all plays out. So let's not put the cart before the horse, but it's been awarded, and it is going to be transported to Maine once we have a kind of a better timeline of when he's going to take it into the shop and get it going. So it was a nail biter for me, I'll be honest. I did not know how this is all going to come to fruition, but it's so relieving to know that, between Doug, myself, that we got it done, and that the wheels are moving. Another bad pun, but the wheels are moving. So yeah, I'm excited, and I think it's going to be a project that CPA should be very proud of.
Keep it rolling.
Charlie, that's huge.
Yep, it is fantastic. Fantastic. Does anybody else have anything to update with projects that may fall from their original committees or?
I got a couple of questions, Derek, if I could.
Sure.
One thing was Mount Pleasant Cemetery, the old Papa's grave, where we went in and cleaned it up a little bit.
Yep.
Any info on, it was talked about us using some funds to put the old iron fence and replace all that? Where do we go from here on that?
The next thing that we'd need to do is more or less like any other thing, put in basically like a pre-application, maybe get some estimates together from an ironworks or whatnot, or a restoration company that specializes in it. I know, Thomas, you had mentioned that there was whether it was a gentleman or a company, it slips my mind, that did cemetery restorations for historical items and whatnot.
Kind of disappeared. I'm trying to find somebody else. I did have a question about that cemetery. I have an inquiry into the Dyer Library in Abington to see if they have any information regarding it. And I'm just wondering, like, as far as I'm all in favor of fixing up the front and putting a wrought iron fence and everything, how important is it for us to, get some kind of documentation of what was there originally in order to properly use CPA funds to install it? 'Cause I know that I had talked about before about, well, let's get a landscape crew in there, instead of making the burden be on Pete to go in there and clean all up and take down the trees and all that. And Doug said, well, that's maintenance. So that you can't do that for CPA funds.
Mhm.
So like, if we say, well, cemeteries have wrought iron fences and that what we should have here, is that going to fly unless I can prove, or we can prove that that's what was there originally?
It's got to be a historical representation or historical reconfiguration, basically. Like I do know that the one that I had visited out in the western part of the state, it was Gardner, I believe, was basically a virtual copy of the exact gates, because they did have documents that showed the original gates to the cemetery. So you definitely, I think, would need to have some kind of historical document that says this was, wrought iron. This was, you can, an expert in restoration would be able to tell you. Usually when you see those granite pillars, what they were holding up, there should be anchors in them. Actually, you'll see where there were pinholes drilled, and the gates, for the lack of a better term, were pinched into those holes. And the fencing would have been pinched into those holes. The next column gets put up, then a piece of fence, then the next one, and they basically build it like you're stacking a sandwich, and it pinches them all together. Would definitely need to do our homework on that and figure out exactly what they had, or as close to what they had as possible. And then, like I said, an expert on that kind of restoration would know more than we would, and might even have the resources to find out, more about it than we would be able to. So it might not be a bad idea to maybe contact a couple people that have, that's their expertise or their area of expertise.
A photograph, wouldn't it?
Old photographs would definitely help. Judging by the age of some of those graves, I'm going to tell you that I've never seen an actual photograph of George Washington. And some of those people are just as old. Of course,
1700s.
yeah,
Definitely,
pre-Revolutionary War.
definitely the Abington Library would be our best bet on
Yeah, we
finding
went a
anything
year for
on
them to
that.
open. The Dyer Library, they've been closed, to the public since last March, which I'm kicking myself for not going over there earlier. So I'm hoping to hear back from them soon. I sent them a message on Facebook through their Facebook page, so we'll see what I hear.
Derek, just being devil's advocate, let's say we did find pitches on it, or even if we had a specialist come out, look at it and say, yeah, this is what you want to do. If it's the old wrought iron and there's points on top, would there be any kind of regulations like on the fencing this day and age? Like, can we even have something like that? I believe didn't they all have points on the tops of them?
Yeah, a lot of them did. What do they call them? Finials or whatnot. I'm not sure the wording of it, but yeah, they definitely, a lot of them did have that. And bringing something up to modern code is a necessity with CPA, just like doing the GAR hall. It has to be a historical representation, but it does have to meet current day safety code.
Okay,
But
so CPA wouldn't bounce us out if we said we can't have, I'm just being devil's advocate. They wouldn't bounce it off the table if we said we have to, we can't have sharp tops on them.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't, it wouldn't bounce it off, because you're meeting the standards of, the modern age. But at the same time, I know that, I'm trying to think of it, it's in Duxbury on the way to the monument. There is a cemetery that has wrought iron and granite, and I'm pretty sure that has little spires on the tops of the fence as well. So it's not something that's been completely eliminated. They didn't go back and baby proof
Right.
that one. So I don't think that they would hold back a historic reproduction or restoration based on the same thing. You know, I think that there's a difference between something that's just blatantly dangerous and something that's holding true to architecture. It would be an interesting point. I like the idea of it. I like the question. It would be an interesting point to do some research in and see what they do with something like that. Inherently, it looks ominous. You look at something like that and say, wow, you know, that looks like somebody could hurt themselves. But then at some point, there's also got to be a level of common sense that you don't go running over there and smash your hand on the top of something that looks like it could hurt you. So I don't know. Would have to look into it from there. But I do know that with CPA, yeah, you do have to meet modern standards of building. You can't ignore it because, you know, back in the 1800s, they did something out of, you know, cast iron that we know now would fail. That's got to be done out of cold rolled steel or something, you know, so you do have to meet modern standards. That was one of the stipulations to use CPA. It has to be done to code and hold true to the spirit of a historical representation. So I think we
No.
could probably get around it.
All right, that's cool. That was my only, I'm just, again, being devil's advocate. I
Oh, absolutely,
It's a good
absolutely.
want to
point.
make sure they give us the funding for it. I mean, shit, we used to have 10-foot slides. Now I think the 5-foot high is the highest you can go with a slide these days.
Gee, the one that was outside the middle school back in the day when where the parking lot is now used to be a playground. That thing had to have been at least 12 feet high.
Oh, easy.
You know, you fall off it and it was, but then again, you only fell off it once. Learn your lesson.
Hit my tooth climbing up the wrong way.
Yeah. You know, we learned the hard way. Now safety, you know, safety first. I don't know. I don't want to get started on that rant, but
Yeah.
just remove all the safety warnings from everything and let natural selection run its course. But,
Motion to adjourn.
on that note,
On that note,
yep. We have a motion to adjourn.
second,
We have a second by roll call vote. Joe Reese, yes.
In favor.
Steve O'Donnell, Jr.
Yes.
Charles Williams III.
Yes.
John Hennessy,
Yes.
Tom Reagan,
yes.
Peter Yule.
Yeah. Charlie, thanks.
No worries. Thank you, guys.
Good job.
Derek Yule says yes, unanimous. Meeting is adjourned at 7:55. Nice job, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Be safe,
Gentlemen.
everybody.
All right, we'll talk shortly.
What the heck happened? Leave.